It's official. What was already the most chaotic, messy, and shocking legal battle in Hollywood just exploded into an entirely new dimension. A bombshell report first dropped by TMZ on July 1st sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, the commentary community, and pretty much anyone remotely tuned into this ongoing saga between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Yes, you heard that right. Blake Lively's legal team has just issued subpoenas to not one, not two, but three high-profile content creators: Perez Hilton, Candace Owens, and Andy Signore. If you thought this case was already wild, buckle up, because this twist has opened the floodgates. The reason, according to TMZ's inside source, Lively's lawyers are on a mission to gather evidence that they claim could expose an alleged smear campaign orchestrated by Baldoni. And in that quest, they're targeting people whose online commentary, videos, and reporting may hold crucial evidence. It's a strategy that no one saw coming, or maybe everyone should have. After all, this legal feud hasn't just played out in the courtroom. It's unfolded in the court of public opinion, across podcasts, YouTube channels, viral tweets, and endless TikTok debates. But the internet wasn't prepared for this. The second the TMZ article hit social media, exploded. Commentators were stunned, fans were confused, lawyers across TikTok started scrambling to break it down. And those directly involved, well, their responses have been nothing short of jaw-dropping. Candace Owens responds, and she's furious. Perhaps the most vocal reaction came from Candace Owens, the polarizing political commentator, who has built a massive audience dissecting everything from celebrity drama to cultural controversies. In a statement provided to People, Candace didn't hold back. She said, "Given the fact that I have not received any subpoena, yet I appreciate Blake's team leaking this to TMZ to alert me to it. And of course, I have not the slightest idea what I am being subpoenaed for, as I knew none of these parties when their respective lawsuits were filed. But stay tuned and I'll let audiences know on my podcast. This isn't just a legal issue anymore. It's a media war." Owens all but accused Lively's team of using the press, specifically TMZ, as a tool to send a message before anything official was delivered. And anyone who knows Candace knows one thing: she's not the type to back down quietly. In fact, less than 24 hours after the TMZ article went live, Owens teased a massive episode dedicated to the subpoena, the lawsuit, and what she calls the celebrity machine coming after free speech. She even hinted that this might not end with her simply showing up to court. There could be countersuits, there could be depositions that pull even more people into this mess. Owens is prepared to fight and to broadcast every moment of it. Perez Hilton's stunning silence. For now, strangely, Perez Hilton, once the king of celebrity blogging, has been publicly silent about the subpoena. People reached out for comment, so did multiple other outlets. And yet, radio silence. Why? No one knows for sure. But the speculation has been running wild. Some point to Hilton's complicated history with both parties. Let's not forget Perez Hilton appeared in the documentary In Dispute, Lively vs. Baldoni, that chronicled the beginnings of this legal chaos. Not only that, but Hilton was previously legally represented by none other than Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman. That connection, yeah, it's raising a lot of eyebrows right now. Is Hilton caught between two powerful sides? Is he scrambling behind the scenes with his own legal team? Or some are even asking, could Hilton himself become a more central figure in this case than anyone expected? TMZ's report didn't clarify exactly what evidence or testimony Lively's team is seeking from Perez, but the silence, oh, it speaks volumes. Andy Signore, from commentator to witness. Then there's Andy Signore, a veteran of the YouTube commentary space. Signore has made a name for himself covering celebrity trials, public scandals, and Hollywood feuds. His channel Popcorn Planet exploded during the Johnny Depp vs. Amber Heard trial, and it's only grown since. But now the commentator finds himself in the story. According to TMZ's report, one major reason Lively's team zeroed in on Signore is because in one of his videos he shared an exclusive statement from Baldoni's lawyer Brian Friedman before any major news outlets published it. Was it a coincidence? Was it insider access? Or was it, as Lively's lawyers now seem to suspect, part of a coordinated media push? Signore hasn't issued a formal statement yet, but sources close to him have reportedly said he was blindsided by the subpoena. Still, he's reportedly preparing a response. And knowing Andy, that response will likely be public, live streamed, and monetized. The bigger picture: what is Blake's strategy? Legal analysts are already weighing in, and one question dominates: why subpoena content creators at all? According to multiple attorneys speaking to outlets like People, The Hollywood Reporter, and Deadline, this is an aggressive, some say risky move by Lively's legal team. It signals that Blake's team believes the media narrative around this case wasn't organic, one attorney explained. If they can show that there was coordination, whether overt or subtle, it could support their claims that Baldoni retaliated against Lively not just legally but in the court of public opinion. It's a bold theory, but it's not unprecedented. We've seen similar tactics in other high-profile cases. The Johnny Depp vs. Amber Heard trial, for instance, featured questions about how narratives were shaped online. Now it seems Lively's attorneys are bringing that fight to the forefront. Scooter Braun enters the chat, and because this story wasn't messy enough, let's throw Scooter Braun into the mix. TMZ confirmed that Braun and his company have also been hit with a subpoena from Lively. The timing couldn't be more chaotic. Braun had just stepped down from his CEO role at HYBE on the very same day the subpoenas were leaked. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Sources speculate that Lively's team is pursuing Braun due to alleged private communications between him, Baldoni, and other figures connected to the media narrative. Braun, of course, is infamous for his behind-the-scenes maneuvering in the music industry, including his bitter battle with Taylor Swift over her masters. And speaking of Taylor Swift still entangled. Baldoni once subpoenaed Taylor Swift, Lively's longtime friend. That subpoena was later withdrawn, but the drama didn't end there. The judge denied Blake Lively's motion for a protective order that would have prevented her texts with Swift from being disclosed to Baldoni's team. Those texts still in play, still looming, and everyone's waiting to see if they'll leak. It's also been rumored, though not confirmed, that Baldoni's team considered subpoenaing Hugh Jackman, another friend of Lively. Nothing came of that yet, but given how wild this case has become, who's to say what's next? The fallout. Hollywood reacts. The industry response has been immediate. Several major PR experts are already describing this as a five-alarm fire for anyone even tangentially connected to the case. This isn't just a lawsuit anymore, it's a nuclear-level PR battle. Anyone who commented on this case needs to lawyer up. Anonymous PR executive speaking to The Hollywood Reporter. Celebrities are nervous, influencers are panicking, media outlets are frantically reviewing past coverage. What started as a legal battle between two co-stars, one accusing the other of harassment, the other countersuing for $400 million, has now engulfed the commentary space, the music industry, the influencer world, and the celebrity media machine. The moment TMZ dropped the bombshell report about Blake Lively's legal team issuing subpoenas to Perez Hilton, Candace Owens, and Andy Signore, the ripple effect was instant. It wasn't just the typical wave of shocked tweets or speculative Instagram stories. This was an earthquake that shook every corner of the internet. Influencers, lawyers, fans, and even celebrities started frantically reacting. The initial disbelief quickly morphed into frantic discussion. Wait, they're really subpoenaing YouTubers and commentators over this? The very idea that content creators who were up until this point considered outside observers were now being dragged into this courtroom drama felt unprecedented. But was it really that surprising, or was it simply the natural consequence of how deeply public discourse has embedded itself into the machinery of celebrity lawsuits? The commentary community, which thrives on parsing every move celebrities make, suddenly realized that the walls between Hollywood and the digital world were thinner than anyone had previously imagined. Suddenly every tweet, every live stream, every viral TikTok dissecting Blake and Justin's legal war wasn't just entertainment, it was potentially evidence. And not just circumstantial evidence. Real court-admissible material that lawyers could argue reflected a deliberate attempt to sway public perception, damage reputations, or even, if you follow Blake's legal team's line of thinking, aid in alleged smear campaign. Meanwhile, Candace Owens wasted no time turning this development into content of her own. Within hours of the story breaking, she had already drafted a segment for her podcast teasing that Hollywood elites are trying to weaponize the court system to silence independent voices. Her rhetoric was as sharp as ever, positioning herself not as a passive participant but as a central figure in what she framed as an existential battle between the establishment media, Hollywood power players, and the new generation of independent commentators. The irony, of course, wasn't lost on anyone. Owens herself had made multiple videos aggressively criticizing Blake Lively in the weeks leading up to this, gaining millions of views. Was it commentary? Was it targeted defamation? Or was it, as Owens claimed, simply the price of free speech? That question alone could end up forming the backbone of the next phase of this already sprawling legal nightmare. But if Candace was vocal, Perez Hilton was eerily quiet, and that silence spoke volumes. Here was someone who built an entire career off of spilling celebrity secrets, whose persona was defined by loud, unfiltered takes on Hollywood drama, and yet, crickets, not a tweet, not a video, not even an Instagram story. His silence became its own story, with fans and critics alike speculating about what was happening. Behind the scenes, some whispered that Perez was lawyering up, that perhaps the subpoenas had rattled him more than he was willing to admit. Others suggested something even more explosive, that Perez, with his known history of legal entanglements and previous ties to Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, might actually have inside knowledge that Blake's team was determined to expose. And then there was Andy Signore, who found himself thrust from the role of commentator to unwilling participant in a legal saga that now had tendrils reaching deep into the creator economy. For years, Signore had made a living dissecting legal battles like the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, the Tory Lanez case, and countless others. But now he was part of the story. The very platform he'd used to analyze other scandals was now flooded with comments from viewers, asking the same burning question: Andy, are you going to talk about the subpoena? His audience expected transparency, but the reality was far messier. Legal experts quickly chimed in across Reddit threads and YouTube comment sections, pointing out that anything Signore said publicly from this point forward could be used against him or against others in court. The implications of this move by Blake's legal team were massive. If subpoenas to commentators like Signore, Hilton, and Owens were fair game, then what about the countless other creators who had made videos, written blogs, or posted viral tweets about the Lively versus Baldoni case? Were they next? The fear was palpable. Suddenly, creators across YouTube and TikTok were quietly deleting videos, setting live streams to private, and frantically calling attorneys for advice. What had started as gossip had become a legal minefield. And while the commentary community reeled, Blake Lively herself remained characteristically silent. Not a word from her, not a hint of this on her usually carefully curated social media feeds. The same went for Ryan Reynolds, who had been uncharacteristically quiet since the Baldoni countersuit was dismissed just weeks earlier. Observers noted that Blake's legal strategy appeared to be rooted in a meticulous behind-the-scenes effort to shift the narrative through the courts rather than through Instagram captions or red carpet statements. But the subpoena to Scooter Braun threw an entirely new wrench into the narrative. Braun's sudden resignation from HYBE the same day the subpoena was issued was either the worst possible coincidence or a sign that this case was unearthing skeletons that went far beyond the Blake-Justin feud. While Braun's spokesperson denied any connection between the subpoena and his resignation, Hollywood insiders weren't buying it. Rumors circulated that Braun had been caught in a series of private communications that would reveal a coordinated effort to control narratives not just about Blake and Justin, but potentially about other high-profile clients and enemies alike. And then there was Taylor Swift, perpetually caught in the gravitational pull of Blake Lively's drama. The fact that Baldoni had previously subpoenaed Swift only to withdraw it was already enough to set Swifties ablaze with theories. But when Blake's motion to block her texts with Taylor was denied, the internet collectively lost its mind. What could possibly be in those messages? Were they innocuous chats about dinner plans? Or were they the kind of candid, no-holds-barred venting sessions that would become front-page news the moment they were read aloud in court? Nobody knew. But the threat loomed. Legal analysts began appearing on every major entertainment outlet: CNN, Fox News, even Bloomberg, breaking down what this unprecedented use of subpoenas meant for the future of public commentary. Was this a direct attack on the freedom of the press, or was it a necessary step to fight back against what Blake's team framed as a targeted campaign of reputational destruction? Lawyers debated furiously, some warning that this could open the floodgates for celebrities to start subpoenaing any content creator who dared criticize them. Others argued that if there truly was coordination between Baldoni's camp and select media figures, then exposing that wasn't just fair, it was essential. But while the legal world debated, the public devoured every morsel. TikTok was drowning in hot takes. One viral creator put it bluntly: if Perez Hilton has to testify, the internet might actually break. Another joked that the trial might become the Avengers Endgame of Hollywood lawsuits, with influencers, pop stars, movie stars, and moguls all dragged into a single courtroom spectacle that no one could look away from. And perhaps the wildest part, this might only be the beginning. Legal insiders whispered that more subpoenas were imminent. Journalists, PR reps, former assistants, anyone who had even a passing involvement in the media circus surrounding this case was reportedly under review. There were even unconfirmed rumors that Brian Friedman, Baldoni's own lawyer, might become a witness if his past work with Perez Hilton became relevant to the case. In the end, what started as a private dispute between co-stars had ballooned into a sprawling, tangled web that now threatened to pull in half of Hollywood, the entire commentary ecosystem, and anyone who had ever sent a snarky DM or liked the wrong tweet. And as for Blake Lively, if this was part of her legal strategy, one thing was clear: She wasn't just fighting back, she was going scorched earth. And the world was watching as the hours ticked by following the TMZ leak. The internet became a war zone. Twitter Spaces popped up spontaneously with hundreds, sometimes thousands of listeners, dissecting the subpoenas in real time. Reddit threads on r pop culture act and r legal advice exploded with speculation, screenshots, and wild theories. YouTube live streams drew record numbers, with creators pausing their regular content to cover this unfolding scandal minute by minute. The phrase Blake Lively subpoena was suddenly trending worldwide, eclipsing even major political news and celebrity gossip. It wasn't just the fans who were stunned, industry insiders were blindsided. Multiple Hollywood agents, publicists, and attorneys quietly admitted to reporters that they had never seen anything like this. One anonymous veteran publicist told Deadline this changes the game. If content creators are now fair game in lawsuits like this, it sends a message to everyone: watch what you say, because you're not untouchable anymore. The fear wasn't limited to gossip channels. Even legitimate entertainment journalists began frantically double-checking past articles, worried that something they'd written, an offhand comment, a colorful descriptor, a quote from an unnamed source, could suddenly be hauled into court as evidence. And while the legal ramifications dominated the headlines, the human drama was just as gripping. Candace Owens, ever the provocateur, wasted no time weaponizing the moment. Less than 24 hours after TMZ broke the story, she went live on her podcast with an emergency episode titled Hollywood's War on Free Speech, Blake Lively versus Me. Her tone was defiant, her message fiery. I don't know Blake Lively anything, she declared. I don't know her. I don't know Justin Baldoni. I have zero involvement in their mess. What I do have is a microphone. And apparently that terrifies them. She then claimed that this was an act of intimidation designed not just to silence her, but to send a message to all commentators: stay out of celebrity drama or else. Owens even teased that her legal team was reviewing options for possible counter-litigation, hinting that she wouldn't go down quietly. Clips from the episode flooded TikTok, with creators reacting to Owens' words in real time. Some praised her courage, others accused her of hypocrisy, arguing that building an empire on other people's drama inevitably comes with consequences. Meanwhile, Perez Hilton's silence continued to grow louder. Days passed with no official comment, leading to rampant speculation. Was he negotiating a private deal? Was his team scrambling to review whether past blog posts, videos, or podcast episodes contained information that could now be weaponized in court? Insiders claimed that Perez had been unusually reclusive, canceling public appearances and going dark on social media. Some wondered if his long-standing professional relationship with Brian Friedman, Baldoni's lawyer, might have deeper implications than anyone had realized. Then, without warning, Perez finally broke his silence, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of releasing a traditional statement, he uploaded a cryptic TikTok. The video was just him staring silently at the camera, the caption reading, "When the internet thinks they know everything, but they don't." No explanation, no context, just vibes and chaos. Naturally, it only made the speculation worse. Comment sections filled with accusations, support conspiracy theories, and pleas for answers. Was he bluffing, hiding something, protecting someone, or simply trolling the entire internet? As for Andy Signore, his response was more measured but equally impactful. In a nearly 2-hour live stream titled "Yes, I Got Subpoenaed, Here's the Truth," he walked his audience through his side of the story, calm but clearly rattled. Andy insisted that his videos were nothing more than commentary based on public information. "I report on court filings, public statements, and media coverage," he said. "I don't have some secret line to Baldoni's legal team. Yes, I got an exclusive statement from Brian Friedman once, but so did half the entertainment reporters in Hollywood. That's what lawyers do when they're pushing their side of a story." But even as he spoke, viewers could sense the tension beneath his words. And he wasn't just fighting a legal battle, he was fighting to protect his platform, his livelihood, and his reputation. The live stream ended with a mix of defiance and exhaustion as he told his followers, "I'll keep you updated, but right now, I have calls to make." And while the commentators were busy handling their own personal crises, Blake's legal team was working overtime behind the scenes. Court documents started surfacing on public records websites, revealing just how deep the subpoenas were digging. It wasn't just about videos or podcasts. They were requesting IP logs, private correspondence, emails, metadata, anything that could potentially connect the content creators to Baldoni's camp, or show patterns of narrative coordination. Legal analysts on TikTok and YouTube began poring over the documents, offering breakdowns for audiences hungry for clarity. One viral lawyer on TikTok explained, "What Blake's team is trying to do here is prove intent. If they can show that, Justin or his reps were feeding stories, quotes, or narratives to these creators. It bolsters their claim that there was a calculated smear campaign designed to retaliate against her. It's aggressive but not unprecedented, but not everyone agreed. Some legal experts pushed back, arguing that the subpoenas bordered on harassment. One even warned if this holds up, it could have a chilling effect on independent media. Every commentary creator would have to wonder, am I going to get sued for talking about this? The debate became so intense that it even spilled onto mainstream news channels, with CNN hosting a panel about the weaponization of subpoenas in the digital age. And then came the twist that nobody saw coming: leaked emails. Screenshots started circulating on social media, anonymous at first, then confirmed by several journalists, that appeared to show communication between someone on Baldoni's PR team and a third party discussing strategies for seeding narratives to select influencers and media outlets. The emails were vague but damning. Phrases like "make sure this gets to sympathetic voices" and "timing is critical before her next public appearance" were highlighted and dissected across every platform. Suddenly, Blake's subpoena strategy didn't look so wild, it looked strategic. If those emails were real and experts said they appeared authentic, then there really might have been an orchestrated media campaign designed to damage her reputation. The internet erupted. Supporters who had previously accused Blake of overreach started changing their tune. The hashtag Blake was right began trending, with thousands of users posting apologies for doubting her. Even more shocking was who else appeared in those leaked emails: Scooter Braun. While the emails didn't directly implicate him in the Baldoni feud, his name showed up in threads discussing narrative alignment and industry support channels. Whether Braun was a participant, a bystander, or simply collateral damage remained unclear. But the timing of his sudden resignation from HYBE began looking less coincidental by the hour. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift fans were in a frenzy. Rumors exploded that the denied protective order regarding Blake's texts with Taylor meant that those messages were already in the hands of Baldoni's legal team. Speculation over what those texts might contain reached a fever pitch. TikTok was flooded with videos theorizing the content. Are there receipts of them? Strategizing PR moves. Did Taylor warn Blake about Scooter? Is there gossip about other celebrities? The possibilities felt endless and terrifying. And as if the internet needed more fuel, whispers began circulating that Hugh Jackman, whose name had been previously floated as a potential witness, had quietly lawyered up. While no official subpoena had been issued to him yet, sources close to the situation claimed that Jackman was taking proactive measures in case his name surfaced further in discovery. At this point, the lawsuit wasn't just Blake versus Justin. It was a sprawling Hollywood wildfire engulfing anyone within shouting distance. Public relations firms scrambled to draft emergency plans for clients who had so much as liked a tweet about the case. Lawyers warned their celebrity clients to steer clear of comment sections. Talent agents held emergency Zoom calls with their rosters advising, do not post, do not comment, do not breathe in the direction of this lawsuit. And yet the media machine churned on. Every day brought new developments, new leaks, new filings, new rumors. The subpoena saga had become its own entertainment spectacle, a meta commentary on the very nature of celebrity influence and the toxic feedback loop between Hollywood and the internet. And for Blake Lively, she stayed silent, utterly silent. Not a post, not a comment, nothing. But behind the scenes, it was clear she was playing the long game. And as the storm swirled around her, one thing became undeniable: this was no longer just a court battle, it was a reckoning. As the days turned into weeks, the subpoenas that once seemed like a shocking twist evolved into the central narrative of the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni legal saga. The legal teams were no longer just preparing for trial, they were preparing for a full-blown media circus, the likes of which even the most seasoned Hollywood lawyers had rarely encountered. Every major entertainment law firm in Los Angeles was suddenly either directly involved advising clients who were tangentially connected, or quietly studying the case for what it signaled about the future of influencer commentary and legal liability. Inside the courtroom, the tone shifted. What was once a straightforward, albeit high-profile dispute between two former collaborators had metastasized into something much larger and far more chaotic. Court filings ballooned in size. Blake's attorneys submitted extensive motions outlining the relevance of communications, public statements, and even monetization strategies employed by content creators like Andy Signore, Perez Hilton, and Candace Owens. The argument was clear: if creators profited off narratives that were fed, manipulated, or framed by Baldoni's camp, it wasn't just commentary, it was participation in reputational harm. Baldoni's legal team predictably fought back hard. They filed counter-motions to quash the subpoenas, arguing that the demands were overly broad, invasive, and an attack on free speech. In heated hearings, Baldoni's lead attorney Brian Friedman stood before the judge and thundered, "This is an unprecedented overreach. We are witnessing an attempt to silence the free press and weaponize the court against public discourse." His voice echoed through the courtroom, a performance as much for the judge as for the inevitable media reports that would follow. But Blake's lead counsel wasn't rattled. Calm, composed, and laser-focused, her attorney replied, "The defense hides behind the shield of free speech while conveniently ignoring the mountain of evidence that points toward a coordinated campaign of defamation, retaliation, and character assassination." The tension in the room was suffocating. Observers described the hearing as less a legal debate and more a battle for the future definition of media responsibility, and while the courtroom was a powder keg, the real explosions were happening. Outside its walls, PR firms across Hollywood went into absolute meltdown mode. One by one, celebrity clients who had publicly commented on the Blake and Justin feud were quietly advised to scrub their social media accounts. Multiple influencers who had appeared on live streams to give their 2 cents on the matter suddenly deleted entire video backlogs. Some even issued cryptic apologies. "I've been advised by counsel to refrain from further commentary on pending litigation." Scooter Braun, already mired in his own PR nightmare over his abrupt resignation from Hybe, found himself dragged deeper into the quicksand. New filings revealed that Braun's name wasn't just a side note in the leaked emails. It was central to multiple threads about narrative control, strategic alignment, and minimizing reputational exposure. Media outlets began running damning headlines. Did Scooter Braun help fuel Hollywood's biggest smear campaign? And inside the secret group chats that sparked a legal firestorm, Braun's lawyers scrambled to issue statements denying wrongdoing. But the damage was already spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift's involvement continued to be a ticking time bomb. The fact that the judge had denied Blake's motion for a protective order over her texts with Taylor meant those messages were fair game. Rumors leaked that the texts weren't just casual chats. They contained candid, unsparing discussions about Baldoni, Braun, Friedman, and potentially other A-list figures. Panic set in. Swift's team immediately went into lockdown mode, a source close to Taylor told Variety. She's furious, not necessarily at Blake, but at the fact that her private messages could be weaponized in a case she has nothing to do with, and the celebrity community, they started picking sides, quietly at first, then not so quietly. Some, like Gigi Hadid and Selena Gomez, were seen liking supportive posts about Blake, signaling subtle but unmistakable alignment. Others, like Ryan Reynolds, Blake's own husband, remained eerily silent, his Instagram feed conspicuously devoid of commentary. Insiders whispered that Ryan was deeply uncomfortable with how far things had escalated, torn between supporting his wife and preserving his own public image, especially with several lucrative deals hanging in the balance. Then came Hugh Jackman. For months, his name had been floating in the background of this chaos, an occasional footnote in media reports about potential subpoenas. But when photographers caught Jackman leaving a law office in downtown Manhattan, head down, visibly tense, the internet exploded. Did it mean he was getting involved? Was he preparing to be subpoenaed? A reporter shouted, "Hugh, are you testifying in the Blake Lively case?" Jackman ignored the question, but the photo went viral in seconds. Even as the media swirled, the next courtroom hearing took things to a new level. For the first time, a judge openly questioned whether the subpoenas to Perez Hilton, Candace Owens, and Andy Signore crossed the line between legal necessity and punitive harassment. Yet at the same time, the judge acknowledged that if Blake's team could produce even minimal proof that information was being funneled to these creators in an orchestrated manner, their testimonies could be relevant. Then Blake's attorneys dropped a bombshell, a confidential declaration from an unnamed whistleblower, a former employee tied to a PR firm that allegedly worked with Baldoni's team. The declaration detailed specific strategies about timing, content drops, seeding negative narratives to commentary channels, and even engaging with influencer managers to ensure certain stories gained traction. The courtroom audibly gasped when the document was referenced. Baldoni's attorneys immediately objected, claiming it was inadmissible, but the damage was done. Reporters rushed out of the courtroom to file breaking news alerts simultaneously. Twitter Spaces hosted by legal commentators swelled to tens of thousands of listeners. One commentator summed it up perfectly: "This isn't just a lawsuit anymore. It's a hostile takeover of the internet's discourse about fame, power, and the boundaries of commentary." On the PR front, chaos turned to outright disaster. Brands associated with anyone in the controversy began backing away. Multiple sponsors quietly paused campaigns with Candace Owens, Brands that had partnerships with Perez Hilton initiated crisis talks. Andy Signore reported losing to major advertisers from his YouTube channel within 48 hours of his subpoena becoming public. Even companies loosely connected to Scooter Braun began releasing statements emphasizing they were not involved in any legal matters pertaining to the lively Baldoni case. At the same time, the internet's appetite for the drama only grew. TikTok creators began crafting elaborate timelines complete with string maps, diagrams, and speculative lists titled "Who's Next to Get Subpoenaed." One viral video with over 10 million views asked the haunting question, "Is this the end of gossip commentary as we know it?" And Blake still silent. Her social feeds, once a curated blend of playful candids and career highlights, remained a ghost town. No promotions, no selfies, no holiday posts. Observers noted that her silence wasn't just avoidance, it was power, while her enemies scrambled to control narratives, delete videos, and draft crisis statements. Blake said nothing, but her silence spoke volumes, and everyone was waiting for what came next. Because whispers were already starting, whispers that depositions were being scheduled, whispers that subpoenas were expanding, whispers that this lawsuit wasn't anywhere near over. It was only just beginning. The moment the first round of deposition notices went out, the panic that had been simmering just beneath the surface boiled over. Content creators who once built their platforms on dissecting the scandals of others were now scrambling to navigate the very legal minefield they had so often speculated about. TMZ, Deadline, Variety, all of them reported the same thing: depositions for Candace Owens, Andy Signore, and Perez Hilton were officially scheduled, and not weeks away, mere days. The internet barely had time to process the subpoenas before realizing the storm was already upon them. Candace Owens was the first to go public. True to form, she didn't wait for someone else to control the narrative. She released a scathing video titled "I Will Not Be Silenced, Blake Lively's Lawyers Are Out of Control," where she confirmed that her deposition was scheduled for the following Thursday. With her signature bravado, she sat behind her desk, looking directly into the camera as she declared, "I will walk into that deposition with my head held high. I have nothing to hide. And let me be very clear, if they think this intimidates me, they have no idea who they're dealing with." Her followers flooded the comment section with support, but the cracks were starting to show. Legal experts dissected her tone, noting moments where the confidence slipped, where the reality of being under oath with potential perjury charges looming seemed to settle in. Perez Hilton remained silent. No videos, no Instagram stories, not even a cryptic TikTok this time. Sources close to Hilton whispered to reporters that he was absolutely terrified. While Perez had long been seen as a gossip king with an iron stomach for controversy, this wasn't a blog post, this was federal court. This was lawyers poring over every word he had ever published about Blake Baldoni or anyone adjacent. Insiders speculated that Perez was weighing whether to fight the deposition outright or negotiate a private settlement to stay out of the line of fire. But as one legal analyst on CNN pointed out bluntly, that ship has likely sailed. If his name is in those leaked emails, and we're hearing it, as he's not dodging this. Andy Signore, who had maintained a relatively calm front until now, showed signs of unraveling as the clock ticked down. In an impromptu live stream titled "I Never Wanted to Be Part of This, Here's the Truth," his voice shook noticeably. "I talk about celebrities for a living. I talk about court cases. I never imagined I'd be dragged into one myself." His chat was a mixture of sympathy, panic, and trolls. He revealed that Blake's legal team wasn't just asking about his videos. They were demanding back-end data, monetization reports, communication logs, emails with sources, anything that might indicate whether his coverage was influenced, paid for, or coordinated with outside parties. And then it happened. The internet broke. Somehow, somewhere, no one was exactly sure how. The first transcript from a deposition leaked. Screenshots flooded Twitter within minutes. The watermark read "Confidential, do not distribute," but it was too late. Pandora's box was open. It was Candace Owens' deposition, and it was brutal. In the transcript, Blake's lawyers systematically dismantled every defense Candace tried to put up. Question after question, they grilled her about her source material, about when she first started posting about Blake, about whether anyone had ever contacted her with tips and side information or suggested story angles. There were moments when Candace snapped back defiantly, but there were also moments when the answers grew vague, hesitant. One now viral excerpt read, "Did Mr. Friedman or anyone associated with Mr. Baldoni ever provide you with information about Ms. Lively? I don't recall specifics, so that's not a no." Long pause. "It's I don't believe so, but I can't say definitively." That pause, that hesitation, it was clipped, reposted, and dissected across every corner of the internet. Legal TikTok had a field day. One creator summed it up perfectly: that's the sound of realizing what under oath really means. As the leaked deposition spread like wildfire, the walls started closing in on Perez and Andy. Less than 24 hours later, another transcript hit Twitter, this time Andy Signore's. And it was, if anything, even messier, not because he admitted to direct coordination, but because the line between commentary and collaboration had never looked so blurry. Blake's attorney pressed relentlessly, "Can you explain why you received a statement from Mr. Friedman? Prior to it being released to any mainstream outlet, it was sent to me. I didn't request it. Did you publish it before verifying its authenticity?" "I published it as an exclusive. That's how it works in commentary." That response ignited another firestorm. Legal experts debated it across cable news panels. Was it normal commentary, or did it cross into being an unofficial PR channel for Baldoni's legal narrative? But the most devastating blow came with the third leak. Perez Hilton's deposition. What had been whispered in private was now public. Perez was asked directly if he had ever received payments, gifts, or favors from anyone associated with Baldoni during the height of his coverage of the case. And while the transcript didn't reveal a smoking gun in terms of direct financial compensation, it did uncover something almost as damaging: private text messages. Messages where Perez discussed doing a favor for a friend and helping steer the narrative. Before the next wave hits, names were redacted, but context made it obvious who the friend was. And then, as if the universe was determined to make things worse for everyone involved, a second wave of leaks hit, this time emails allegedly pulled from Discovery between Scooter Braun's company and an unnamed PR consultant. These emails didn't just mention the lively Baldoni case, they mentioned Taylor Swift by name. They referenced neutralizing her influence